What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Boost by Gear YouTube channel. As most of you may know, we reached 1,000 subscribers over the weekend, and we're super stoked. I'd like to thank everybody for your support. Thank you for sticking with me. Thank you for watching the videos, subscribing, liking, all that stuff. And but I would like to shout out somebody personally. Thank you, Preston Smith from Garage Idiots. He actually got me into recording and basically getting the channel started and everything. He helps me a lot with tips and tricks on how to do things here and there. And I actually wasn't going to document this build, and I'm glad I did. I talked to him and he was just like, go ahead and do it, man. Just get on it, document everything. That way everybody can see what kind of car you're building and what you're building. So shout out to Preston. Thank you, man. I can't thank you enough. If you guys don't know, he's got a channel on YouTube as well. It's Garage Idiots. Go check it out. He's building a super cool Corvette Jeep. It's all turbo and stuff, so it's really badass. So go check that out. But as of now, guys, we got a car to build. So let's get into it. All right. Well, these are the parts we got back from Powder Coat. We had powder coated everything black. Just so it doesn't rust and stuff like that. It came out really, really nice. It basically matches the rest of the stuff on the car. So here's the whole traction bar right here, all coated, and our lower motor mount all done as well. Looks super good. And this is the cover for the battery box. So all that came out super nice. Shout out to Custom Coatings and Billet. Shout out to them. They got this done pretty quickly. We got it done in about 4 days or so. It was somewhere around $200 to get these parts coated. So if you guys need anything powder coated in Colorado, like I said, Custom Coatings and Billet, they can get you done. So we're gonna get this stuff all bolted back on the car, how it's supposed to go, and then we're actually gonna move on to the interior today. We're gonna do some painting and stuff, and then hopefully some shifter and staging brake stuff. So yeah, that's good. Now that I got everything bolted up loosely, both sides, the battery box bolts, and the bottom motor mount, I can go ahead and tighten everything up. The reason I do that is because there's a little bit of play in these bolts right here, and if you get the traction bar on there and tighten it down completely, you'll probably have a misalignment issue with this motor mount and this bolt right here, and then also the bolt holes in the frame for the battery box. So I just assemble everything loose and then go ahead and tighten everything down, and then everything is good after that. It'll give you a little bit of play in order to get the bolts in. So I'm gonna get this all tightened up, get the radiator in, and then like I said, we can move on to the inside. So alright, so I ended up putting threaded inserts in the battery box to be able to bolt on the cover plate. Reason being is that they give you a bolt and a nut, so every time you take it off, you probably lose the nut, stuff like that. This way these stay in here all the time. You can just unbolt it and be done. And I'm going to try to get a shot of how these actually work here, since you can actually see the back of this. So you can see kind of what goes on when you get this in the hole right here. So let me set this up real. Alright, so you get it in there, and you squeeze the handle, and then on the back you'll be able to see how it basically turns into a rivet. Squeeze it. If you need to get a little bit more out of it, you can screw this in and squeeze it a little more. That's pretty much maxed out though. And then you just back this out, and that's it. And you have a nut where there wasn't one. All right, just got all this stuff all bolted up. Traction bar, battery box is all bolted up, bottom motor mount. I got the intercooler back on here. Got this coupler on with the clamp while it was off of the car. That way it's a little bit easier to get to. And then I got this coupler on and both of its clamps on right there. So that's all good. I got the return line on, wrapped it in some heat resistant wrap, just because it was a little close to the manifold there. I also wrapped that runner of the manifold so it wouldn't melt the return line, but got all that done. So as far as the interior goes, we went and picked up some Scotch-Brite to rough up the floor of the car before we paint it. Some tape, wax and grease remover to clean before we paint. And then for the floor, we're going to use a couple of these cans of the truck bed coating. It's a black textured finish, you know, just to keep it from rusting and stuff like that. We got a couple of those, and then we got a special color for the cage. I'll fill you guys in on that a little later. There's a couple of spots in the floor that had a little bit of rust. So like on this side, I went through and just made a plate and welded it where, cut it out, and then welded it where the rust was. So went ahead and fixed that. And then I'm doing the same thing on the other side right now. And then we'll go ahead and prep the interior to get it all painted. We're gonna paint this whole floor area right here and everything in the back. So we can make it all one color and make it look real nice and protect it from any moisture, if any moisture were to get in here. So yeah, we're gonna get on that, and then I'll show you what it looks like once it's all painted black. Our finishing lines kit showed up today as well, so super nice. Comes with all the hardware and stuff you need. You know, billet handle here, super nice. Got the finishing line logo right there. We got the Wilwood master cylinder to go with it, and this is their plate. So this is like a shifter plate basically right here, and then the staging brake bolts right here to the side of it. Looks like it's got a couple different positions you can put it in. All the mounting hardware for that, and then all of the brake lines you'll need to go from the proportioning valve into the master cylinder, and then out of the master cylinder into the rear brake lines. So shout out to Josh from Finishing Lines for getting this kit here so fast. It only took 3 or 4 days to ship, and it's all really nice stuff. So here's his website, www.finishinglines.com, if you want to look at any of that stuff. And you can go on there, and he makes really nice stuff, really responsive to messages, and really good customer service. So hit him up if you're looking for some, you know, something like this. So yeah, let's get on to doing the interior. Alright, now that I got everything roughed up with a Scotch-Brite pad, I blew it out with some compressed air, and then I'm gonna just vacuum it out, get as much stuff as I can. out of the corners, and then I will wipe the whole floor down with some wax and grease remover just to prep it for the paint, and then we'll get to spraying it. Alright, so we got this whole front section sprayed. I only bought 2 cans. I thought it was going to get me farther than it did, actually. So we're going to go pick up a couple cans tomorrow and finish up the rest of the floor in the back. But this is what it's looking like right now. It's looking pretty good. And after this dries, then we can run the brake lines and do the shifter and all that stuff. So we're going to let this dry, and we'll come back and show you guys. Alright, so we got all of the floor painted in here. It looks really good. Did 2 coats with that truck paint. All of this billet goodness right here. For the shifter, we have the K-tuned billet shifter with the S1 all-wheel drive shift knob. Really nice shift knob. The finishing line staging brake, it's all billet as well. Looking super nice. The K-tuned base plate. The finishing lines plate for the staging brake, and then all the brake lines and stuff that they send. So I'm going to get to assembling this kind of on the bench right here just to see how everything is going to be bolted up, and then we'll get it inside the car. So, alright, so to install the base plate, basically you use 2 of the factory threaded bolts that are in the car, so you'll use these 2, and then you have to drill your own 2 holes in the front and put the bolts through and put nuts on the bottom. So basically you set this on here like that, get these lined up with the holes in the car, and then I can kind of thread it in by hand like that. Alright, so for the rears, we're going to do 2 of these straight lines. So one off this side. And one off the other. then we're gonna run a T in between the two. Kind of like that. And then we'll go ahead and take this line right here and put it on the end of that. And then basically this line will come out of the carpet probably around here or so and go into the staging brake, and then out of the staging brake will come the other line and tee off back there and go to the two back fittings in the back. So alright, so I got the front part all in the proportioning valve right there. All that stuff is tight, so it comes out of there, goes into the staging brake right here, and then it comes out of the staging brake to this line into the T, and then tees off into both rear brakes. So that's pretty much how you get it all set up. It's super simple. Finishing Lines does a really good job of sending you everything that you need to install their staging brake. So yeah, it looks all pretty good. So I'm gonna do probably throw. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the carpet in the car, and then because these lines will probably come out underneath the carpet right here in this intersection, and then try to figure out where I'm gonna anchor these brake lines down. I'll probably do some of those mounts that have the rubber on them, and then attach it to the car in various places, just so the brake lines aren't moving around under the carpet. So I'll probably do maybe a couple here, one here in the center, and then probably one over here or so to hold that line, and then probably some in the back there. So I'm gonna get these rears tightened up, and then I'll go grab the carpet, set it in here, and see what else I got to do after that. Then we can get the shifter on, the staging brake on, and then we can move on to installing the shifter cables after we get the shifter in. So alright, now that we got the shifter all installed, we're going to move on to the shifter cables. This part right here goes on the V-Series tranny with these two spacers right here and these 3 long bolts. So we're gonna do that first, and then we get to installing this plate on the firewall. This is from K-Tuned as well. Just basically drill 4 holes, mount it in the firewall, and then you can run the cables through this grommet right here. Real nice. So you won't have any leaks or anything like that, and it's a really nice plate that goes on the firewall, so you can get your cables through there. We are going to be using the factory heater core hose hole down there to get the cables through. So let's get this bracket on real quick, and then we'll go ahead and get that plate on the firewall. Okay, now that we got those holes drilled for the plate, I just ran the cables through that hole, and now we're gonna go inside and hook them up to the shifter. Then we'll put on the grommet and the plate, and then we'll hook these up out here at the trans. We just got the cables on the shifter side. So before you put this middle cable on, you have to take off the end. You have to take off this end piece right here to be able to put this screw on nut, I guess you could call it. So you got to take that off, and then slide this over, and then put that back on, and then you can tighten it into this. But before you put this cable in, you have to put on this bracket right here that holds the outside cable on. You can't really get to the bolts, they're right on this side of the shifter. So before you put this cable in, go ahead and slide that bracket in. It's got 2 slots, one in the front and one in the back. But it says right here, if you're using the TSX or Accord cables to position it in the front position. So I went ahead and put that in there, put the 2 Allens in there, tightened them down, and then I went ahead and put this cable on and put it in there, and then I slid the cable onto the bottom of this ball right here. You just have to, this clip, take the clip off, basically slide it up in there, and then put the clip back around it, and that's what holds it in right there. And then the outside cable basically just slides in same way, push it back, and turn these this nut right here to tighten it. I believe these are 19 millimeter. To get these tightened, if you try to tighten this one inside the shifter right here, you can't really get to it because it's such a tight space. So what I end up doing is I unbolt these 4 bolts that hold this piece of the shifter in. I pull it out, then I go ahead and tighten it, and then I put it back in, put all the bolts back in, and that's how I'm able to get that one tight. As far as this other cable goes, it just has it has 2 positions it can go in. On the instructions it says to put it on the bottom one, so I went ahead and did that. And it's just got a shoulder bolt that goes through the cable, and then it's got a nut over here on the back side. So this is threaded, so you thread the bolt in basically all the way, and then you put the nut on and hold the bolt on this side, maybe just for safety so it doesn't fall off or something like that. So this side's pretty much all set up. So now we're gonna head to the outside, put that grommet in the firewall over there, and then proceed to hook up the cables to the trans. Got the shift cables fully installed up here, everything tightened. I haven't done that plate yet. I need somebody to help me put the nuts on the back side of that, so when I have somebody to help me, I'll get that on. But that's all installed, and everything is installed on the inside. Looks super good. shifts through all the gears, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and reverse. You know, we made a lot of progress this time, so next time we'll probably most likely be painting the cage. We'll do a color reveal on that. It's going to be a pretty crazy color, so we'll be doing that next time, and most likely doing the up pipe and dump tube, because that's really what's left in the engine bay, is that stuff. So another thing I did as well today was I got the fuel cells all mounted up. We got both of the fuel cells mounted up and the cross tube on there. All I need for that is just a couple caps for this fitting right here, and then there's another dash 10 on the back of it. I was gonna do 2 fill necks. I think I'm just gonna do one. Technically, if you fill one tank, it should fill through the tube and equalize both sides. So we're gonna try that first. If that doesn't work, then we'll end up doing both of the fill tubes. We're also gonna raise the car up a little bit so we can get more clearance between the axle and the fill tube. So yeah, well, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. See ya.